The manager laughed at him like he was trash, but what no one knew was that the man in rags was actually the silent billionaire investor who owned the entire dealership company. 1 hour later, that same manager who humiliated him was escorted out, termination letter in his hand, while every employee stood in shock. Marcus Hill pushed open the glass entrance door of Whitman Imperial Motors and stepped inside the most exclusive luxury car dealership in Los Angeles. A place where people didn't just come to buy cars, they came to prove status, wealth, class, superiority. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like dripping diamonds. White marble floors reflected the shine of Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Maybach, and million-dollar exotic machines parked like royalty. Marcus looked completely out of place. He wore paint-splattered jeans, a faded yellow t-shirt, and beat-up shoes that had struggled through worksite after worksite. His face was tired, beard rough, his hands scarred like someone who earned money the hard way, on the ground in the heat and the dirt. And that's exactly why 3 salesmen paused mid-conversation to stare at him the moment he entered. Rich people enter here with designer watches. Marcus entered smelling like drywall and cement. He walked straight toward a matte black Rolls-Royce Phantom sitting in the center spotlight. Everyone looked confused. He didn't care. He didn't come here to impress anyone. Only one man approached, the manager himself, Derek Whitman. Derek wore a navy blue suit, white shirt, brown Italian leather loafers, perfectly gelled hair. Every step he took looked like an advertisement for arrogance itself. And the moment he noticed Marcus was actually staring at his most expensive Rolls-Royce model, Derek burst into a full dramatic laugh. Not a little laugh. Not a chuckle. A laugh meant to humiliate, loud enough to echo around the entire marble hall. Other employees watched, smiling. "Sir," Derek said, holding his stomach like it was a comedy show, "this section of the showroom is for serious buyers, not for window shoppers or construction workers taking Instagram pictures to pretend they made it." Marcus just stared at him. Calm, hands in pocket, silent. Derek stepped closer, invading his space, then pointed at Marcus's paint-stained pants. "You can't even afford the wax for this car. If you need something cheaper, the used Honda section is 20 minutes that direction. You walked into the wrong world." Marcus didn't react, didn't argue, didn't defend himself. He just asked quietly, "Is this how you treat all customers?" Derek scoffed. "Customers? Sir, customers come with credit, with status, with appointments, and not looking like they walked out of a broken garage." He didn't know who he was talking to. He didn't know what he just did. Behind Derek, 3 junior employees snickered. Others whispered. Someone even took a photo on their phone. The security guard stood there with a half smirk, like he was waiting for Derek to throw Marcus out any second. Marcus calmly walked around the Rolls-Royce Phantom, placed his hand on the hood, took a slow breath, then looked Derek dead in the eyes. "I want to speak to your regional director," Marcus said slowly. Derek threw his head back and laughed again. "Oh my God, this is too good," Derek shouted so loud that even the receptionist from the second-floor balcony peeked over. "You think you can just walk in wearing that and demand corporate? Buddy, I am the highest person who will ever give you 10 seconds of attention here. I'm the final stop. You're not going any higher." Marcus didn't raise his voice. "Call him. Now." Derek leaned in so close Marcus could smell the mint gum in his mouth. "Get out before I call security. You're embarrassing yourself." Marcus was silent again. He took his phone out and typed something, calmly, slowly, like a man who already knew the next hour of this building's timeline. 60 minutes. Just 60 minutes. That's all this dealership had left before everything flipped upside down. Derek rolled his eyes and waved his hand dismissively, like shooing away a stray animal. "Sir, seriously, don't waste my time. Go home. You're not buying anything here. You can't even afford the cup holders in this car." Marcus slowly walked toward the exit. Right before stepping outside, he turned back, looked Derek straight in the face, and gave him a small, subtle smile, not angry, not emotional, not threatened, a smile of someone who already knew a storm was coming, a smile of someone with power, quiet power, the kind that destroys careers without raising a voice. Then Marcus said only one sentence, "You just laughed at the wrong man." He walked out. Derek didn't even bother to watch him leave. He turned back toward the Phantom and clapped his hands to get attention, bragging to his team like he just defeated someone. "Gentlemen, that right there is why you never judge a man by his dreams." But Derek was wrong. He didn't judge a man by his dreams. He judged a man by his clothes. And he was about to pay a price far more painful than embarrassment. He was about to lose everything, because the man he humiliated, the man he pointed at like trash, the man wearing paint-stained jeans, owned the entire corporate parent chain of this dealership. And the phone Marcus just texted? He texted the senior board, he texted legal, he texted HR. Derek Whitman's termination letter was already being prepared. It would arrive within the hour. Marcus stepped outside into the warm California sunlight, the dealership's glass door closing behind him with a soft hydraulic hiss. He stood still for a moment, letting the arrogance inside that building settle in his memory for one final time, because soon, within minutes, it would become evidence. Proof, reason, fuel. He wasn't angry, he was disappointed. All his life, Marcus believed people learned, that society had grown, that success could be earned without needing designer clothes, expensive watches, or curated image. That character still mattered more than appearance. But every now and then, life sent a reminder, loud, violent, clear. Some people only understood the language of consequences, and Derek Whitman was one of them. Marcus walked to his matte black SUV parked across the street. Not a flashy exotic car, but still a limited edition vehicle that wasn't available for consumer release yet. He had been testing early pre-production units personally. Marcus wasn't just wealthy. He was a strategic investor with equity in industries, manufacturing, AI engineering, silent joint ventures, and market influence that most CEOs didn't even know had his fingerprints behind them. He unlocked his SUV, sat inside, closed the door gently, and opened his encrypted executive corporate portal. Within seconds, he was inside the master system that controlled every dealership under Whitman Imperial Motors' nationwide chain. There, he typed a single internal note: urgent HR authority override. Immediate dismissal evaluation. Derek Whitman, manager, LA flagship branch. Direct cause: discriminating, hostile, unethical customer engagement with corporate ownership present. Prepare full report, plus termination letter. He hit send. Within 34 seconds, legal responded. Corporate ethics responded. Board secretary responded. Not because Marcus asked, but because Marcus Hill wasn't a regular CEO. He was the hidden silent partner, the 51% controlling stakeholder behind the entire brand that Derek thought he managed. He was the one who approved Derek's original contract 2 years ago. Marcus didn't randomly pick this dealership today. He knew exactly which location he was walking into. The flagship store with the worst record of racial profiling complaints they always buried under PR manipulation, false statements, intimidation tactics, and social pressure silencing. Marcus had watched long enough. This was their final audit, and Derek had just failed it publicly. Marcus took a breath. He did not smile. It was just necessary. Then his phone buzzed again. A voice note from corporate. We trust your judgment. Termination letter is drafting. ETA 40 minutes. Marcus placed his phone down on the passenger seat, leaned back and closed his eyes. He didn't enjoy destroying careers, he enjoyed building opportunities. But sometimes removing one rotten blockage saved hundreds of good employees beneath it. Inside the showroom, Derek was still bragging. He walked around slapping his palm against the side of the Rolls-Royce, retelling the humiliation moment to 3 staff members like a comedian repeating his best punchline. Guys, I mean, look at that. The nerve. Asking for corporate while dressed like a failed welding student. I swear this city is full of daydreamers pretending to be millionaires. His voice dripped with superiority. He believed power came from looking powerful. One of the junior salesmen whispered nervously, Derek, what if that guy actually had money though? Some people dress like that on purpose. Derek scoffed and waved his hand as if clearing dust. Real wealth announces itself the moment it walks in. You can smell it, you can see it, and that man was barely surviving. Trust me, poor people are obvious. You can't hide poverty. The receptionist on the mezzanine level overheard the conversation, and for the first time, she actually felt uncomfortable. She saw the way Marcus walked, how he didn't defend himself, how calm he was. People with nothing lose control fast. People with everything never need to. She quietly opened her laptop and began searching internal employee directory just out of curiosity. She typed Marcus Hill. Nothing. Then she typed Hill Holdings. Her eyes widened. Hill Holdings was majority owner of Whitman Imperial Motors. She froze. Her hands trembled. She closed her laptop slowly like she was hiding a government secret. Derek still laughed downstairs. He was too deep inside his own ego to sense the silence forming around him. Inside Marcus's SUV, the timer hit 30 minutes left. HR internal task update, status, termination letter at 70% completion. Marcus put the car in drive and pulled onto the road, not to leave, but to circle back, because he wanted to be present when the universe delivered its poetic balance. No shouting, no revenge speeches. Just truth landing exactly where it was supposed to. In the middle of LA traffic, Marcus remembered his mother's words. They think they measure your value by what you wear, but your value is what you can change. Marcus had changed entire industries, quietly. Now he would change this company permanently. He parked again 2 blocks down, calmly waiting for the internal alert. Inside the dealership, Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen with annoyance. Corporate priority message, immediate meeting request. Derek frowned slightly, then shrugged. He still didn't suspect anything. He thought he was being called about upcoming VIP clients. 1 hour, Marcus whispered to himself. The countdown had begun. 38 minutes later, the glass doors of Whitman Imperial Motors opened again, not with the same slow, hesitant walk from before. This time, Marcus walked back inside with a stillness so controlled. It was threatening without a single raised muscle. His footsteps were quiet, unrushed. He walked back in like a man who had absolutely nothing left to prove, because every single move he needed to make was already done. Employees noticed immediately. Their expressions changed fast. The laughter from earlier had faded, now replaced with small nervous glances. The receptionist upstairs swallowed hard. Her fingers trembled near her keyboard. 3 sales associates who earlier treated Marcus like he was invisible now quietly stepped aside, giving him space, without being told. Still, Derek Whitman didn't notice. He was still bragging about humiliation, replaying his comedy routine with 2 junior employees, as if his moment of public superiority was the greatest highlight of his career. I swear he thought he belonged in here like the rest of us. The way poor people fantasize is unbelievable. You can't fix delusion, Derek said, laughing as he leaned against the hood of a Rolls-Royce like it was a bar counter. Marcus stood near the entrance, silent, still, watching. The receptionist upstairs whispered under her breath, "This is about to get very bad." Marcus didn't move closer. He didn't need to. He simply waited, because he knew what was coming. He already got the alert 6 minutes ago. Termination letter complete. Corporate final review signed. ETA physical delivery, 11 minutes. Marcus stood there with his hands in his pockets, calm as winter night wind, while everyone else began to sense a shift in air pressure. Not fear yet, but something heavier, like consequences approaching. Suddenly, Derek's phone buzzed again violently. He looked down, slightly irritated, expecting maybe a client or his wife complaining about reservations again. Instead, priority corporate conference call, mandatory immediate acceptance. Derek blinked. He frowned. His confidence cracked 1 microscopic degree. He tapped to accept. On the screen appeared 3 people split screen. Corporate Legal Chief Counsel, Senior Regional Operations Director, Corporate Ethics Division Head. All 3 looked serious. No smiles. No "Hello, Derek, how are you?" Corporate tone. Nothing, just straight ice. Derek cleared his throat nervously. Yes, sir. Is this about the upcoming celebrity client that requested a private?" Ops director cut him off mid-sentence. "Mr. Whitman, we need to address a violation complaint filed less than 1 hour ago, and it involves you." Derek blinked faster now. He looked around at the staff, trying to maintain superiority and image. Violation? With who? Someone filed a complaint against me. No, this must be mistaken. We had a random walk-in earlier. Poor guy. You know these homeless dream buyers. This time the corporate ethic head's voice came cold as metal. "Do not finish that sentence." Silence rippled across the entire showroom. One of the junior salesmen slowly stepped away from Derek like he was stepping away from someone holding a grenade. Ops director continued. "The man you humiliated this afternoon is Marcus Hill, controlling majority equity holder of this corporation." Derek's soul fell through his body like a stone dropped down a well. For a second, he forgot how to breathe. Everyone in the showroom gasped, quietly, but loud enough that the silence swallowed the space like a vacuum. Derek stuttered, voice shaking. Wait. No, that can't be true. He was dressed like... Counsel cut him off. "It appears you judged ownership by clothing, Derek." That sentence alone shattered Derek psychologically more than any yelling could. Derek's hand shook so badly he almost dropped his phone. Ops director spoke again, tone final. Your termination is already signed. Internal courier team is en route to your location. When they arrive, you will hand over your building access credentials, your master system codes, and step away from company property. Derek turned pale. His mind collapsed. He looked around desperately, searching faces, searching validation, searching anyone who might defend him. Nobody moved. Some employees lowered their eyes. Some felt he deserved it. Some felt this was karmic alignment. Derek's voice cracked like a child losing grip on his identity. Please, please, it was just a joke. He looked like someone trying to pretend to be rich. I didn't know. I didn't. Ops director's tone didn't shift an inch. A leader who respects only wealth is not fit for leadership. Call ended. Screen went black. Everyone was silent 4-5 full seconds. Then, glass doors opened again. Not Marcus this time. 3 corporate black Escalades rolled up outside. 2 corporate security specialists. Senior HR rep regional director, legal envelope in hand. They walked in like a legal funeral procession. People stepped aside instantly. They didn't ask who is Derek Whitman. They walked directly to him. The HR rep held out the sealed envelope. Mr. Whitman, effective immediately. This is your termination. Derek took the envelope with shaking hands, like it weighed 50 pounds. Then, slowly, his eyes drifted to Marcus. They locked. Marcus didn't smirk, didn't celebrate, didn't gloat. He just stared back with calmness so powerful. Derek felt smaller than dust. Silent power, the kind that doesn't scream because it doesn't need to. The HR rep turned to staff. Corporate will conduct full internal restructuring starting tomorrow. New management will arrive. There will be major culture correction. Marcus then quietly turned away, walking slowly toward the Phantom again, touching the hood gently with respect. The same hood Derek slapped casually earlier. The room stayed completely silent, stunned, frozen, absorbing the magnitude of what just happened. Derek broke first. He kneeled, whispering, "I'm sorry." But Marcus didn't respond. He didn't need to. The world had already answered him. Derek sat on the marble floor, elbows on his knees, head buried deep in his own palms. His designer suit suddenly looked cheap. The same man who had laughed loud enough for the entire dealership to hear, now could barely breathe without shaking. He wasn't a manager anymore. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room anymore. He wasn't the one with the power anymore. He was just a man watching the consequences he created swallow him whole. Corporate security patiently waited, standing near him, not speaking, not yelling, just there to ensure compliance, as the HR rep documented the inventory of his master keys. Derek slowly removed his access badge from around his neck. The same badge he once swung proudly like a king's medallion now looked like a prison chain he was finally removing. Marcus stood quietly near the Rolls-Royce Phantom, looking at the reflection of himself on its mirror-black surface. He wasn't admiring the car. He wasn't celebrating the moment. He was taking one quiet breath to close this chapter inside himself. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't ego. This was a correction to a system he was tired of watching rot from the inside. An employee whispered to another. That man didn't raise his voice once, but the entire building bent for him. The showroom lights reflected gently across Marcus's eyes, cold, steady, thoughtful. Derek slowly got back on his feet, trying to steady himself. He approached Marcus, desperate, broken, but still trying to cling to anything that might save the last piece of pride he had left. He forced the words out, struggling. Marcus, please, listen. It was a misunderstanding. I thought you were just... Marcus didn't turn his head to look at him yet. Slowly, without any emotion, Marcus spoke. You thought what you saw was the truth. Derek swallowed hard. You saw a man wearing work clothes. You assumed poverty. That was your mistake. Derek stepped closer, voice cracking. Please, I can learn from this. I can fix this. I have a family. Marcus finally turned his head and looked directly into Derek's eyes. And those eyes, calm, still, unflinching, hit Derek harder than screaming ever could. Do you know how many people you've done this to before I walked in? How many customers? How many young black men? How many families you made feel small? Silent. Derek stopped breathing for a second. He saw flashes inside his own memory. All the times he smirked at people who didn't look wealthy. All the times he assumed class over character. All the times he insulted someone without ever fearing consequence. because he never once imagined those people could actually hurt him back. That arrogance was the oxygen he lived on. Now that oxygen was gone, no one stopped you, Marcus said quietly. So today, the universe sent someone who could... Derek's voice dropped to a whisper. Please, not like this. Marcus stepped away from him now, toward the showroom exit. He didn't shout. He didn't offer comfort. He didn't soften the blow. Derek deserved every ounce of this reality. Right before Marcus reached the entrance, he stopped. He turned slightly and said one final sentence, the last thing Derek would remember for the rest of his life. Be careful who you laugh at, because they might own the building you're standing in. That was it. No lecture. No second chance. No forgiveness ribbon. Pure, cold truth. Marcus walked outside, and the doors closed behind him. Corporate security escorted Derek out shortly after. His suit looked like a costume now, like he was playing a role he never deserved. His career was over before sunset. By next morning, industry blacklisting would remove the rest of his opportunities like a vacuum wipe. The staff inside the dealership looked around at each other, lost, silent. Then slowly, they understood. They witnessed the exact moment arrogance met karma, and karma didn't flinch. The receptionist upstairs wiped tears from her eyes quietly, not out of sadness for Derek, but from the heavy realization of what respect actually means. Marcus got into his SUV, started the ignition, and drove away into the city sunset. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He knew the message would spread faster than any press release, any viral clip, any corporate memo. Because lessons like this don't need marketing. They echo. They travel through gossip, through whispers, through employees, through entire industries. People will remember this day. Managers will think twice before humiliating someone because of how they look. Companies will rethink training. HR departments will adjust culture standards. Marcus didn't have to raise his voice. He just let truth do the work. As his SUV merged into traffic, his phone buzzed with a corporate update, LA flagship, restructuring order confirmed. New respect first culture enforcement begins next week. Marcus closed his eyes for one moment. Not satisfaction, closure, necessary correction had been delivered. And somewhere inside that dealership, someone who looked less wealthy would walk in tomorrow. And they would not be judged first by their clothes. That was enough. Marcus accelerated onto the freeway, disappearing into the horizon, leaving a final message branded into the memory of everyone who ever doubted the quiet power of a man who survived, worked, built, endured, rose, and never needed to prove his worth with appearance. Some people flash wealth, some people are wealth, and the loudest man in the room lost the quietest.